Good evening, friends. This is Manish Khandelwal. I am a mechanical engineer, and details of my experience are mentioned at the bottom of this slide. As you can see, today's topic is COPQ, that is, cost of poor quality. You may recall that last week also my presentation was on the same subject, that is, cost of poor quality. But in today's presentation, we'll go a bit deeper into the subject. Friends, cost of poor quality consider two types of cost. One is the cost required in our efforts not to produce a bad product, and second is the cost required when a bad product is already produced. In other words, you can say first cost is towards our efforts to produce good quality product, and that is why many people call it cost of good quality. And the second is to handle the situation when a bad product is already produced, and that is why it is called as cost of poor quality. However, in both the cases you may note that either we are trying to avoid to produce a bad quality part, or we are addressing a situation when a bad quality product part is already produced. And this is the reason why people call both the cost as cost of poor quality. The cost of good quality can further be divided into two. One is preventive cost and second is appraisal cost. And of course, the aim is to attain and sustain good quality of product to achieve the customer delight. And cost of poor quality also can be divided into two: internal failure cost and external failure cost. You may recall that in my last presentation, I divided cost of poor quality into 5 parts. One was preventive cost, second was appraisal cost, third was internal failure cost, fourth was external failure cost, and fifth was intangible cost. So intangible cost is a part of poor quality, and in this presentation I have merged that into external failure cost. So let's see how do we calculate the cost of good quality. As was conveyed in last slide, it has got two parts. One is preventive cost and another is appraisal cost. So in preventive cost, as the name suggests, this is to prevent the defects being produced. And our efforts are that we produce the product right first time. That means there is no rejection, no rework. And to do this, we have to arrange training for our people. We may have to install some foolproof systems. We may have to go for some process improvement. So in this, the cost can be in manpower, arranging training, or if it is internal training, then of course the trainer's cost, then material required for foolproof system or process improvements. Another primitive cost can be doing the quality planning. So we have to do the quality planning, which is having clear targets, and we need to identify the resources required. Here also the cost can be material or manpower cost. Friends, few industry calculate as to what shall be the cost of defect if the preventive actions are not taken for a particular defect. So what they do, they calculate the cost of scrap or rework or improvement cost, training cost, etc. And then they compare it with the cost of preventive actions. And if they find that cost of preventive action is much high, then they say, okay, let this defect happen. Of course, in my personal opinion, this is not a good choice, because in remotest possibility, if a single defect flows out, a customer is expected to be in trouble. Second cost is appraisal cost. In this, cost of inspection, cost of testing, the testing can be in-house or can be arranged outside. Calibration, normally it is done outside. The audits, internal audits and audits done by the outside agencies. Then certification audits also. Then cost of vendor visits. Our people can go to the vendors for doing the audit, process audit or the product audit. So the manpower cost and the cost of their traveling all will come here. Next is cost of poor quality. So this also has got two parts. One is internal failure cost and another is external failure cost. So in internal failure cost, the cost of scrap, if the product can't be reworked, then it has to be scrapped. So the cost of scrap will come. And if it can be reworked, then cost of rework shall come. Then why that failure happened, so analysis of that will come. Again here, for analysis, manpower cost will come. For rework, manpower cost will come, and also the material required to rework that. And in the cost of scrap, of course, it is the product cost itself shall be considered. Then if there is an internal failure, there is a chance that the machine is stopped. The quality department say, okay, let us analyze first and then we allow you to produce further. So in that, machine idling cost will come. They may say that let's forget this part for now, let's make some other part, then changeover time will come. Then that cost of product, as I said above, if the cost, if it is getting scrapped, manpower cost, the machine cost, etc. These have to be known to find out the cost. Then external failure cost. Again, the cost of scrap shall come. If the failure is such that it can't be reworked, then that cost of scrap shall come. The product has to be scrapped. And if reworking can be done, then the rework cost shall come. Warranty analysis, then analysis has to be done as to why the product failed. There may be a product recall. This product recall means if we find that okay, one product is failed and it has been reported, but there is a possibility that few other may also fail. So the company prefers to recall the product so that there is no further trouble to the customers, and then they replace it with the good product, or they repair and then replace. There may be some legal expenses as well. If the failure is such that the customer has gone to court, then legal expenses will come. So all this will come in cost of poor quality. Last 2-3 slides we have been referring material cost, manpower cost, machine cost. I think this may not be completely out of place to give you some idea on expenses a company incurs. So these expenses can be divided into two. One is fixed expense, another are variable expenses. So what are fixed expenses? Friends, fixed expenses are those which have to be incurred irrespective of the running of production line or order position. So what are these expenses? One is salary. Salary for all the permanent employees which are on company rolls, including the staff members. Then the rent. If the premises is not owned by the company, then the rent of the premises shall come into fixed expense. Then depreciation on the machines and equipment. Then communication charges like internet bill, phone bill, license fee, permit fee, subscription charges. Then there are few other expenses also like property taxes, insurance premium, loan repayment. Then the other expenses are variable expenses, which are depending upon the order position or running of your production line. When you are running the production line, you will consume raw materials, so raw material cost will come. Then direct labor cost. Here the temporary workers which you are hiring when the production line is running and you need them. So that cost will come here. Then the overtime cost. If the order requires for workers to do some overtime, that overtime will come here. Then packaging and shipping cost. You need to pack and ship the product to the customers, so that packaging cost and shipping cost will come here. Then maintenance and utility. The cost of machine maintenance shall come here. Electricity consumed, water consumed. There are few electricity charges like minimum consumption electricity charges or minimum consumption water charges. Those will come in fixed. Those charges have to be paid by company. So those charges shall come here. Then other expenses like advertisement expenses, traveling, staff welfare. So if these expenses have not been accounted for before the start of new financial year, then it will come in variable cost. Then inventory cost is variable cost. Friends, depending upon the industry, there may be few more other costs. Also, those have to be added. The last slide is showing the relation between different verticals of cost of quality. The y-axis is showing quality cost, whereas the x-axis is showing the quality level. You may note that when we are increasing the appraisal and preventive cost, the internal and external failure cost is continuously reducing to almost zero. The quality cost, however, reduces up to a certain level and then it starts increasing. What does it mean? This means that after a certain point, which is this, higher and higher appraisal and preventive cost shall be required to reduce same amount of internal and external failure cost. So initially maybe we were requiring 100 rupees to reduce internal and external failure cost as 100, but now we will need 200 rupees of appraisal and preventive cost to reduce 100 rupees of internal and external failure cost. That means our total cost of quality shall again start increasing. Now at this point, company has to make a decision. If the company desires to reduce the internal and external cost without minding the cost of total quality, then they will keep on spending money on appraisal and preventive cost. Otherwise, they will stop spending money after this point. So friends, here I will end this presentation. Please forward your comments, if any, to make my future presentations better, and subscribe my channel. Thank you.